say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous line o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the and the home of the does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Great reviews, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman as we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. I'm your host, April Chapman, and I was about to say happy Wednesday. But see, look at me. Look at me rushing the gun. It is not Wednesday. It is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. You guys, welcome to my first live stream of the week. Normally, I know y'all like, if this girl don't get consistent, okay. Normally, I try to live stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But yesterday was not a good day for me. I put out a video, but it may have been old and repurposed. If you watched my video that I released earlier today, we were experimenting with my new set and I'm just stressed, okay? I'm stressed out because I'm old and change is a problem for me. I used to be very agile. I mean, I was go with the flow. Like if we here today, here tomorrow, hey, that's fine. Not in this season of life. I have been fighting and resisting the change. I know like the change needs to happen, but for some reason, I just could not, I don't know what it was, but I was just struggling. So we recorded the video over there, and I don't record in 4K. Like what you see here, this is just normal old school 1080p, but it gives a very crisp, very clean look. Like you feel like you can reach out and touch somebody's hand, and it has a lot to do with the lighting. In the other set, I was shooting in 4K, but for some reason, I looked like I've been on a carrot juice cleanse for an extended amount of time. I was really, really orangey, and it just wasn't crispy like I like. And a lot of it has to do with it's a lighting issue, and then contrast with the background, and it's just stuff that y'all don't even care about. Y'all like, man, we don't even care about those technical difficulties. We just like, are you in or you out? You going live or you ain't? You putting out content or you doing something else? So we're still working through those issues. You will see a few more videos. It's because we're experimenting. We are also experimenting with audio. I love my Rodecaster mic, but the thing gets in the way. Y'all know how many times I'm a demonstrative communicator. So I'm slapping the mic, it's shaking, it's violence here on the set. So today I am mic'd up with a little lavalier, and hopefully we don't have any problems. How do I sound? Whoever I don't know what are you talking about, woman? I don't know. I'm talking to my audience. Okay. I don't know what you mean by that. But anyway, hey, Ine, how are you? Good to see you. So on today's show, we're talking about two things. If you saw little Liam on the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about the little 5-year-old from Minneapolis. I know I'm behind, but there have been updates to that story. So we got to talk about that. And then I want to talk about the lefticals who always out here trying to give us free. I mean, they want to give us free stuff. They want to take your money and redistribute it to everybody else while they amass their own personal nest eggs. So we're going to be talking about that. And great, awesome, I sound fine. That's wonderful. So the first thing we want to do, I want to talk about the ICE detainee situation in Minnesota. I'm hoping that somebody would please tell the lefticals that a 5-year-old little boy in a cute, little bunny hat and a backpack is not a political prop. Yet that's exactly how the left has used this little boy. I saw someone in the live chat ask if we remember the little Gonzalez boy. What was his name? What was it? I saw it in the chat. Where is it? Somebody, Alien, right? Yes, I do remember him. I do. So we're gonna talk about this because if the left can get America to cry, like if they could just pull out the little baby violin, if they can get us to cry and just tap into, the heartstrings, they can get us to comply with what it is that they want. But they don't want you to ask questions. No, do not ask any questions. They wanted you to pick a side. That's what all of this was about. You were supposed to emote and see ICE detain the 5-year-old and turn off your brain and not think through what you saw. They didn't want you to engage with the facts. They wanted you to engage with your feelings. So today, we're going to do something revolutionary. I know you don't see a lot of it, but we're going to have compassion for the child, and we're going to exhibit some discernment about this whole narrative, right? Like, so basically, we're going to chew bubblegum and walk at the same time today. And it's because the same people that are screaming, we got to save the children, right? They're the ones that are actively engaged in schmecks trafficking, if you know what I mean. They're the ones that allowed over 300,000 children to just dissipate like steam in the air in the interior of our country. And they're also the same people who demand wholesale abortion on demand. Like we want to kill babies because we are bloodthirsty. And that's what we do. We got to sacrifice the babies to Molech. So when I hear them lamenting about this 5-year-old, I'm like, save me the tears, you lying hypocrites. Okay. So I got me some coffee. Y'all, I've been drinking black coffee. Well, okay, it's kind of black, but not really. It's black in the sense that I didn't put cream in it. I did put some collagen in it, and I add like a little bit of flavored syrup. And I've been on this for like 2 weeks, and it's the only thing that keeps me going. Okay. So I got my coffee. So we're good to go in the live chat. Where are my manners? I didn't even welcome y'all to the show. Whether you're watching us on YouTube, Rumble, I don't think we're on X. Wherever you're watching us, welcome to tonight's show. So let's get into it. What happened in the original story with the little 5-year-old boy? So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the update of what happened with the detainee and him being back in Minnesota. And then we're going to talk about how the spin machine of the mainstream news media, how they keep lying so that you'll hate immigration enforcement. Remember, that's the goal. You're supposed to hate ICE, defund ICE. They're supposed to be the wicked Gestapos. That's what they want you to believe. Now, they want you to believe that. Hate immigration enforcement, even though the reason why we're seeing such an uptick and aggressive immigration enforcement is because they're the ones who created this mess in the first place. And so, as believers and American patriots, we're gonna walk and chew bubblegum at the same time, right? Like we can have mercy and still demand law and order. So let's get into it. Quick disclaimer. I have several clips I'm going to show. I want to be clear. I am not a here. Did I say I am not a here? That ain't what I meant. I meant to say I am not here to attack a child. I don't do that. I'm a mama. This ain't about the baby. I'm also not here to mock the baby. Just because I mentioned this little furry hat in the backpack, I was trying to build it's called imagery, right? So this is not mockery. I was creating imagery. But I'm also not here to dehumanize anyone. Hear me clearly. If you've been on this platform, you know I take a very harsh stance when it comes to illegal immigration. Not immigration, illegal immigration. We think in proper categories over here. It's not about dehumanizing people, okay? I am here to expose how adults with power have manipulated the emotions of American people in order to push policy that is not good for America. Because one of the most demonic tricks that we're seeing today in politics is, let's put the kid in the frame, put the little slow music, right? Don't look at the adults, right, who broke the system or who broke the law. Don't look at that. They just want you to focus on the kid. So I'm hoping by the end of tonight's show, you're going to see exactly how this story got what I call edited, right? How they framed the narrative to give you this shareable narrative that ICE is bad and that Donald Trump is just a mean old orange guy who don't give a darn about no kids, right? The goal in real time, they want to make you hate enforcement and they want you to worship all of the disorder that you're seeing. So let's go ahead and make sure we got the right clip. We don't. I thought we did. There we go. This is Liam. Take a look at this clip, you guys.
This picture of Liam Ramos being detained by ICE is sparking a war of words over what really happened to the 5-year-old student at Lakeview Elementary School in Columbia Heights. Witnesses say the boy was taken into custody along with his father in their driveway after arriving home from preschool on Tuesday, and that federal agents tried to use Liam as bait to get his mother, who was inside the home, to let them in.
Mom was there. She saw out the window and Dad was yelling, "Please do not open the door."
But DHS officials say Liam wasn't being targeted by ICE and that his father abandoned him while trying to get away from federal agents.
And then when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death?
An attorney says Liam and his father entered the U.S. lawfully from Ecuador in 2024 and have a pending asylum case. He says Liam's father doesn't have a criminal record in Minnesota, and he believes the two are being held together at a federal facility in San Antonio, Texas.
The fear that was generated, the terrorizing of the children and the community, that's just horrifying.
District officials say Liam is one of 4 children from Columbia Heights who've been taken by ICE over the last few weeks. And witnesses who were there dispute DHS's version of events, saying there were plenty of adults around who could have taken care of Liam instead of taking him to a detention center.
The onslaught of ICE activity in our community is inducing trauma and is taking a toll on our children, taking a toll on our families, our staff, our community members.
Now, the attorney for Liam's family hasn't had a chance to speak with them in Texas yet, but he says he's reviewing several legal options to get them out. This picture of...
Okay. Few things I want to engage with there. Notice how, do y'all remember on a previous show when I told you that these people believe that your children are their children, or like your children are their children, meaning they have this concept of you sharing custody of your children with the government. So when they say there were plenty of adults around, there was no need to detain the boy, you could have just given him to some other adult. And I'm like, that's not how this works. First of all, let's just say, for example, I'm an American citizen, but I've committed a crime and I know they're coming to get me and I have one of my girls with me. It would be unacceptable for, just because there's some other adults around, for you to randomly give my child to some other adult. You don't know these people. I don't care who they are, unless it is a legal parent or guardian. That is not how this works. But notice, I don't even think most people heard what she said. There were other adults around. They didn't have to detain him. They could have just gave the little boy to some other adult. So you telling me the father doesn't come out to claim the boy, the mama ain't opening up the door, and ICE has the kid, and you expected ICE to be like, well, who wants to claim the boy, and then just give him to some random child? We will never win the propaganda spin that these people want to place on this situation, because it pains them to just acknowledge the truth. Now, let's intellectually be honest here. According to this report, this gentleman is an asylum seeker from Ecuador. Now, all of them, all of a sudden, have been asylum seekers, but they came here in 2024. They have a pending case. Great. They say he's not a criminal. So the argument is going to be, well, why is ICE prioritizing and going after this gentleman when I thought this enforcement action was about going against the criminals first? Trump has made it clear, if you're here and you're here illegally, granted, we do want the criminals first, but if we happen to come across others who are in the country unlawfully, we're going to swoop them up too. It bothered me how the lady said that they're terrorizing communities. Listen, I've been in this country my whole life. If I see ICE, I don't start shaking in my boots. I don't start twitching. There's no trauma. For me, that is, I live here. You will not try to convince me that ICE is terrorizing everyone without distinction. People who are here lawfully and people who are American citizens are not afraid of ICE. The only people who have issues with ICE are leftists, right? These deranged lefticals that have been radicalized, who, for whatever reason, believe that we are supposed to be an open door society without borders. Okay, so that is the first clip that I wanted you to see, because in real time, they want you to disengage your brain and just be emotionally invested. Now, let's take a look at this other clip.
Okay, we're starting in Minnesota. The video showing the moment that ICE officers took a 5-year-old and his father into custody after the child arrived from preschool. DHS officials say the father actually fled from officers as they approached his car and left the child behind. Now, Texas Congressman Joaquin Castro says the 5-year-old may now be in San Antonio. He says he and his staff are working to locate the child, check on his safety, and to demand his release.
Okay, so I wanted you to see that. Why are you talking? I wanted you guys to see that because notice how lawmakers are getting involved when the optics look as if they can spin it in their favor. You will never convince me that these people care about children when they've made no effort to locate the missing 300,000 children who were brought here illegally that we can't account for them. They just disappeared. Now, we know, I didn't even prepare to show you this clip, but I'm going to show it a little later, where there are Christian missionaries who've been down in Mexico, who will affirm and assert with no equivocation that there is absolutely trafficking happening with these children on purpose, and Democrat lawmakers know it. They don't care about these kids. They don't, okay? So we've gone ahead and I've shown you what originally happened. Don't play. You better not play. Don't you do it. I knew it was going to do it. I know it. I don't want it to play just yet, but we've gone ahead and we've reviewed those clips. I'll show you the clip later of the Christian missionary explaining exactly what's really happening with a lot of these children. I'm not conflating and saying that's the situation here, but I'm going to expand on that a little later. But now, Liam is home now, okay? There's been an update, and I'm going to play that clip, and then we're going to talk about it. Now you can play.
Is it? Airplane? Where are you going? ¿A dónde vas?
¿A dónde vamos?
¿Cómo se dice en español?
Mochila.
Mochila?
Sí, mochila.
Okay. What happened?
Yeah? Do you want some gifts? Thank you. You're welcome. This is the lady floor today. Some wings. There's a little needle on the back. Some wings just like mine.
I'm showing you just to give you context to the optics that they're trying to create. They are exploiting. This is the little Gonzalez boy 2.0. His name is just Liam. Liam Conejo Ramos. Okay? So they were in a detention center, and the update is that the little boy and his father, Adrian, the same daddy who refused to come out and claim his son, and the mama too, and he's left in ICE's possession. They're like, okay, well, what are we supposed to do, right? They don't want to talk about that part. All they want to talk about is this 5-year-old little boy was scooped up and detained by ICE. So now him and his father were taken to a detention facility in Texas, and this is them on the plane back to Minnesota. And the part that the media, they're doing a little victory lap, and they've got this triumphant tone, like the white savior didn't come in and save the day, right? They're out on social media talking about it's because of you, because of your righteous indignation, we've changed the system. I'm like, no, that's not how this happened. Now, I will praise God and celebrate the fact that the child is safely reunited with his daddy, right? He's not in a facility, right? We don't want children to suffer unnecessarily. However, I'm curious to know why we can't have an honest discussion about parental authority, right? And parental oversight. And when your parent fails and leaves you, what do you expect the law to do? What do you expect the law to do? Where was the concern that Adrian had for his own son? I understand. Listen, I have no point of reference for what it's like to live in Ecuador. I ain't never been there. I don't know what the living conditions are like. I can only imagine what the hope and promise of being in America may mean for this family. But you are not going to emotionally manipulate me and the American people because everybody has a sob story. Everybody has a story. We can whip out the baby violin for all of them. We have parents domestically whose children are in foster care. We ain't whipping out the baby violin for them. We've got parents who in America, who one of the parents have committed a crime with baby in tow. And if we just allowed the story to pull on our heartstrings, we would never be able to enact justice. Okay? They're trying to package this story a certain way. They're not saying, here are the facts. Here are the areas that are up for dispute. Here's what we know now. Here is what we don't. Instead, they're saying, see, this whole situation proves that illegal immigration enforcement is just evil. It's just wrong. And if you disagree, you're a monster. That is the narrative that they want you to walk away with. Why do you think, out of all of the children and families that are in detainment, why do we have a ABC News exclusive of the little boy Liam in the cockpit with the pilot and asking, Mija, mijo, where you going? How you doing? And he playing, and you're just like, y'all are something else. Y'all will exploit your own children for selfish gain and power, right? They want you, if you disagree, you're a monster. And this is all done to prove that the emotions of the American people are very easy to rent if you can frame the story the right way. And as you know, the left never returns a rental. If they can pull on your heartstrings and get it on lease, they're going to hold it in perpetuity. Now, I got this other clip. This one is a little long. Don't you play. It's going to play. I know it. Stop it. This one's a little long. We may not watch the whole thing, or I may stop and start. But I need to show you this one.
For the first time since he was taken by ICE, we have new first-hand information about 5-year-old Liam Conejo Ramos. Now, here he was as we came to know him, a 5-year-old boy with his Spider-Man backpack and bunny hat, swept up when ICE took his father just last week in Minneapolis. Contrast that with our latest photo of him. His father says he does this a lot. He sleeps, which is how 2 Democratic lawmakers saw him at the Texas detention center where he's being held.
I was concerned with, you see how he appears in that photo with his energy. He seemed lethargic. His father said that Liam has been sleeping a lot, that he's been asking about his family, his mom, and his classmates, and saying that he wants to go be back in school with his classmates. He's asked about his backpack and his cap that he was wearing when they picked him up in Minnesota.
These people are shameless. Okay, first of all, I've raised 4 children. I still am. 5-year-olds sleep a lot still. They're still in the nap phase where if they don't get their sleep, they are cranky. Do you notice the optics? They're just like, oh, when we saw him, he was sleeping. And his father's like, yes, he does that a lot. I'm like, yeah, y'all are some kind of trifling. They are just some kind of trifling. Let me let them finish. Because the theatrics of this are just, it's incredible.
I want to bring in the other lawmaker who got to see Liam, Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas. Thank you so much for being here and for helping us to understand what you saw. Do you agree, or are you worried after seeing Liam about his energy, about what he's been through? Tell us your observations.
First of all, what has this boy been through other than the fact of the initial detainment and seeing his father not come and get him? Now that would bother me too. I would be like, wait, hold on. Like, you just left me on the cold with these people. Now, if you were worried, Daddy, about getting scooped up, at least keep us together. It wasn't ICE that separated this family. It was the parents that willfully chose to be separated from their own child. And I thought it was interesting that of all the people, she running for Senate. So this is MSBS now with the optics. This woman don't have no children, don't want no children, ain't no baby on the horizon for her at all. This woman does not care about this little boy. She has no emotional attachment to him at all. But she got her photo op standing there with the solemn look on her face, looking at mind you, Liam with his daddy. And they're just standing there staring at him, talking about he does that a lot. What, sleep? You'd be sleepy too. You'd be tired too if you were 5. These people get on my nerves.
Yeah, so I want to be clear. I am gravely concerned about Liam, as I am all the children that we were able to see. There was a common kind of note that was struck by every single parent that we were able to speak with. Their concern was for their children. The children right now are depressed. They're not getting any education at all. Many of them are not eating. They are throwing up. We had reports about issues with the water, so we made sure that we actually took a sample of the water for ourselves to be able to test. But I don't even know if what I saw out of Liam was sleep, because I've dealt with a lot of kids, and when I tried to touch him, tried to move him just to see if I could get his eyes to open, his eyes never opened. We never saw his eyes open the entire time we were there.
He was asleep.
He did not necessarily seem like he was asleep. There wasn't kind of the heavy breathing sometimes that occurs when you're asleep. I was very concerned about his appearance, as well as he appeared a bit pale.
So here's the goal. Mind you, it's wintertime. I appear pale in the wintertime. I am much lighter in the winter than I am in the summer. Okay. She's trying to paint this narrative as if he's malnourished and ICE is mistreating these children. He's not. Mind you, does anyone want to ask, how did we get here? How are we in a situation where we have so many illegal immigrants in this country to begin with that we actually have to have ICE enforcement? That we got to actually go and get these people because y'all let them in. And you didn't let them in because you care about these people. You let them in because you need your new class of slaves. You need your electoral serfs. You want to give them the free stuff so that you can remain in power in perpetuity. We all have figured it out by now. And this is not new. You guys, the Democrats have been planning this for so long. And the fact that Donald Trump was not supposed to survive Butler. He wasn't supposed to be in. He's derailing their plan. So now, because they have the media optics on their side, they have to show up, especially the little Joaquin Castro dude, claiming to care. They don't care. But we are under, they want you to make it seem as if we're under no obligation to make the border safe. I'm gonna let her finish, and she's gonna mention about the conditions at the border and these detainment facilities. And I'm like, we ain't even supposed to be having this conversation because you're not even supposed to cross the border illegally. We're under no obligation. The fact that they're here now, we do have some obligation to not mistreat these people. But the idea that he's pale, he's malnourished, some of the kids are throwing up. Was he throwing up? Because she didn't say Liam was throwing up, Liam is sick, Liam is poisoned. He's in his father's arm doing what a 5-year-old does. He's sleeping. He's sleeping. Ain't nothing wrong with this little boy. But they want you to possibly think he is so that you can soften your position on illegal immigration and figure out a way, well, maybe surely we can we can loosen up a little bit, make some sort of, exception, because this is just ridiculous. They want you to think that this is happening times 300,000. That's what they want you to think.
What do you think might be going on then?
I have no idea. I mean, we also talked to the psychiatrist that is at the facility as well as the nurse practitioner. They indicated that there are a lot of people that struggle with the depression, and Liam's father told us that Liam had been asking about his mom and crying for his mom, who happens to be 4 months pregnant and had to be hospitalized once she received information about what happened to her husband and her child.
Hold up. Wasn't she there and also didn't choose to open up the door to claim her child? Listen. There is nothing that is going to allow me to choose my personal well-being over the well-being of my child. If this was really about keeping families together, and if these people weren't willing to sacrifice their children like they obviously do all the time, we wouldn't be having this conversation if the father had opened up the door, or the mother was like, listen, do what you want to us, but keep us together. ICE wouldn't have separated this family. They would not have done that. There's no upside for ICE to do that, to have a child without their parent. And then you got to figure out how to unite them. It's too many people, too many layers of bureaucracy involved to purposely separate these two. So Jasmine, quit your lying, right? The boy, I've talked to the psychologist, and his father is saying Liam is depressed. I don't buy it. I just don't. There's no way these Democrats are going to convince me that the well-being of this child is on the forefront of their minds, because if that was the case, they wouldn't have opened up the border, told those people to make that dangerous trek here with no guarantees of where, actually they did give them guarantees. It's like, we're going to feed you, we're going to clothe you, we're going to give you housing, we're going to make sure y'all good. That's why they came. They were invited, unfortunately. Unlawfully, but invited nonetheless. Let me let her finish.
Do I believe that he's depressed? Yes. But the reports of children not eating is very concerning. And it seems like the administration there does not want to do anything to kind of make sure that these children are getting at least some of the nutrition that they need.
Well, you and Congressman Castro were very clear. You're calling for his release. Did you get any answers as to why he's still there? And is there any hope of getting him out?
Yeah, basically the answer was, our hands are tied. This is, higher than our pay goes, right? Like, basically, like, this is a DC thing. I do want to back up to something you were saying, though, in your previous conversation. As we go through these negotiations and Senate Dems are thinking about what it is that they're going to do, I think that our negotiations should empower the people and should empower the people's attorneys. I don't trust the idea that we should say, hey, don't break the law, and then they're not going to break the law. It's already against the law to do half the things that we're asking them to do. We're basically asking them, please just follow the law. I want to do things like, let's look at a real speedy trial issue as relates to detainees. We have speedy trial for everything else. Let's put some timelines on this. Let's put some more parameters that empower their attorneys to get people out of custody that are suffering right now. Those are the things that we should be doing. We should be working on a pathway to citizenship. We should be using this moment to make sure that we give the resources and tools, not only to make sure that we're keeping our border safe, but also that the resources are there to actually process cases so we know who has real asylum cases and who doesn't.
Hold on. Why would we keep the border safe? The purpose of the border is to deter you from coming. It ain't supposed to be safe. You're supposed to be met with lots of aggression and fear and trembling, if you even make it that far. You're not supposed to attempt to come here, so we're not obligated to keep the border safe, because you're not supposed to cross it illegally. Did y'all hear it, though? She told on herself. She wants to give these people a pathway to citizenship. I told y'all that's what this was all about. That's what this is all about. Here's another observation. Isn't it amazing that now that Jasmine is running for Senate, she knows how to clean up her image and communication style and to present herself on camera very poised, measured, tempered, and level-headed. I didn't hear not one oratang outburst. I didn't see no sister girl, yeah, we ain't see none of that. If she had conducted herself like this for the vast majority of her congressional career, she would probably be so much more further ahead than she is now. I think she's gotten the memo. The white liberals have already said, listen, she ain't the one. She ain't it. She's just not it. And it's because her reputation precedes her. She's ineffective because she thought that all of that oratang energy and showing her tail on the House floor and doing every single media interview and embarrassing her ethnic image was going to garner her votes and respect. And it doesn't. It made her the laughing stock of the Congressional Black Caucus. And the only people out here who take her to be a serious or viable Senate candidate are hood rat chicks in the hood who see themselves in her. Those are the only ones. And folks who are like, we don't have nobody else. But that doesn't have anything to do with this video. I just wanted to highlight, did you see how she was under so much control? She knows how to do it. She just chooses not to. And because the Senate race, this is serious. This is not just Congress now. She's in a position to represent the state of Texas. Now, there'd be a cold day in hell before this woman wins a statewide race in the state of Texas. But at least she's putting her best foot forward to try. Just wanted to highlight that. So, here is what you've seen all those clips. What the grown folks in the room should have been asking. They should have been asking, why are these immigrants being detained in the first place? Did anybody ask why? Like, how did we get here? Did anyone ask, what actually happened in that driveway? Can we get the details of what happened? Right? Like, why did Liam's father flee and leave his own kid? That is a legitimate question that should be asked. And why did his own mama, why didn't she come to his rescue? You didn't hear any of that. Immediately, the narrative became, ICE kidnapped a 5-year-old. That's what we heard. And we heard that phrase because the phrase kidnap, oh, it's inflammatory. The word kidnapped in and of itself is doing a lot of political work. Like, it's got legs on its own. And so the media, they're framing this like Joaquin Castro and Jasmine and all of them, they're like the heroes of the movie. But I want you guys to notice something. The mainstream media is not just reporting. Y'all, they're campaigning. This is campaigning in a roundabout way. That's what they're doing. I think I have one more clip. I think. Let me check. I lost the window. I knew something told me don't close the window. Why did I do that? Hold on. Let me see. Was it this one?
Okay, we're starting in Minnesota. The video.
I don't know. I was trying to show some ABC footage of Liam heading home, but outside of, you know what? I showed y'all the one with him on the plane already, so maybe that's good enough. That is good enough. Let me go ahead and grab these 2 super chats before I forget. Y'all know I'll get caught up, and it'll be tomorrow before I be remembered. Shout out to you, Terrell. Thank you so much for this super chat. He goes, I know you're not a finance channel, but you should make a video on why Black people have been so indoctrinated for years to think that there is a shortcut to getting wealth, getting rich. Sir, I don't need to be a finance channel to cover that topic. I think that's an amazing topic. I think that's an evergreen, a piece of content that'll just be good mileage, whether, because it's not time sensitive. It'll require me to do a deep dive into understanding our psychological understanding of money and finances, how it shifted, right, from the Booker T. Washington model, which is put your cast down your bucket where you are. Find a skill or something that you can provide the marketplace, be of use, be of value. Right? Don't allow this skin wrapper that we're in, these dermal features, to prevent you from adding value to the marketplace, because capitalism has always thrived on best product, best price, right? And even when we were faced with so much opposition, you're going to have to explain how Black people were figuring it out, learning how to function in their freedom, right? Becoming entrepreneurs. I've told y'all the story about Chubtown and all of these small Black towns that the left loves. They'll talk about it, but they don't talk about it from a place of triumph. They always want to give you, the Black Wall Street narrative. Well, the white folks came and burnt it down. And I'm like, see, this is how I know y'all Negroes weren't ready to function in your freedom. Because for one, the question you need to ask yourself is, why they didn't fight back? So if somebody's gonna come in your town and decide gonna debo your way in because they're jealous or covetous or just outright evil, they're gonna take and burn down everything you work for. Oh, we about to go to war now. Somebody got to die. Freedom, no one takes your freedom. If you fail to protect your freedom and fight to the death for it, then you really wasn't free. That's my opinion. And so I think that is an amazing idea for me to do a deep dive into understanding why we have such an adverse relationship with money and finances, is because the Black community, unfortunately, we are overwhelmingly socialistic. And I can point directly to the times in history when that became a thing. And a lot of Blacks don't like it when I start talking about the civil rights movement and how they turned us into melanated Marxist-minded Negroes, to where we are more comfortable begging than building and working and providing for ourselves. And another reason is we on this cooperative economics, which is nothing but a new school version of communism and socialism, it's dressed up in Black packaging. So thank you for producing my next long form video, Mr. Terrell. I like that. I'm gonna come back to that one. You're the GOAT. You're the GOAT. Shout out to you, Crystal. She says, Liam's mom is pregnant. Crystal, right. She sacrificed Liam to have an anchor baby. That's why she didn't come to the door. I'm telling you, I got the smartest live chat this side of the YouTube suburbs. Sis, I didn't even think about that. Isn't it amazing how when we're able to sit and zoom out and think deeply and sober-mindedly about this, that went over my head. I hadn't even considered the anchor baby possibility. Now that's a whole nother follow-up video. Girl, y'all got me working. Y'all got me working tonight. I didn't think about that. That was good. Thank you so much for that super chat and for that insightful comment. So I showed you guys the footage of Lil Liam and his daddy on the plane. You saw the breakfast. And I'm chilling on the carbs, but their waffle looked good. Like, it really did. So we had an opportunity to peer into their awe moments, right? Hear me clearly. Thank God the child is back with his dad. That is a good thing. But don't miss the manipulation. This is emotional framing, and it's designed to bypass scrutiny. That's what they want. Because if you're crying or saying, oh, what was me? Like, this is un benito. Like, you're not thinking. Don't let them do it. As Christians, we don't make decisions and our discernment is not based off of the vibe we feel. I don't care if the hairs are standing up on your arms and you felt some sort of the warms and the fuzzies. No, we don't do spiritual TikTok. The believer's mind is to deal in truth and in love, operating in wisdom. Right? You got to have the mind of Solomon with these things, because if you don't, they will catch you out here slipping and you'll forget that, wait a minute, we need to rewind to the original story to explain how we got here. And I'm talking about the original story, not just when they rolled up to detain the daddy, but how all these people get in this country in the first place. That's how far back we need to rewind. So this story started in the driveway. Now, there are multiple competing narratives that explain this. You have some reports were saying that the detainment happened in the Minneapolis area, Columbia Heights, which is, I guess, a suburb outside of Minneapolis, on the 20th. The father and the child were taken to a Texas family. So that means they stayed together to the detention facility in South Texas, right? But here, there are aspects of this narrative that are like, okay, the activists are saying one thing, the officials are claiming something else. Their argument was that, or should I say their narrative, was that the agents used the boy as bait. And I'm like, how is that possible? They're saying that they used the boy as bait, and that they had the child go to the door to get the adult inside to open it. But DHS is saying that we did not target or arrest the child, okay? This operation was to get the daddy, and the father fled. He ran, left the boy. And then the mama allegedly refused to accept custody. And so the father wanted the child to remain with him. That's a big difference in narrative. That's the difference between a child was used as a tool versus this child got caught in the middle of enforcement action involving adults. So I'm not saying that everything that ICE is doing goes perfectly without a hitch. It's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that the left has a really bad habit of telling the version that best funds your outrage. So if you're low IQ naturally, you're just gonna be mad. They out here arresting 5-year-olds. Your 5-year-old is next. Listen, if you're on TikTok, listen to these people talking about this issue. You got idiots like Ricky Smiley talking about they coming for the blacks. And I'm like, you know what? They need to come for you. They need to come for you. Just go right up to the radio station and snatch your dumb behind right up out the chair and detain you, not because you're an illegal immigrant, but just because you're stupid. That's what they need to do. These are the people out here that got the microphone, right? That people are listening to. I told y'all, if you listen to urban talk radio or urban morning shows on your way to work, you are dumber for it. Don't do it. It will kill your brain cells. You will not be able to think straight. I'm telling you, turn them off. Because he's out here suggesting, yes, you should listen to Joy Reid, because Joy Reid give you the cheat code, and really her and Rachel Maddow tell you what's going on. Anyway, I had a flashback. I covered that video of Ricky Smiley, and that's another reason how, or explanation as to how the black community got here. Just weakness and cowardice and just stupidity. Anyway, so here's what I'm not going to do. I don't want us to stare at the footage that we saw of the little boy without the father, as if that's not a big deal. To me, it's a big deal because I'm trying to figure out why his daddy didn't just come out, right? The optics of the child being led into a vehicle by the masked agents, that's the optics they want you to see. Yes, I get it. It's visually jarring. But what I'm also not going to do is demand that, I'm not going to demand that ICE stop doing what they're doing because we have one situation that optically looks bad. I'm not going to do that. The truth matters. Lying lips, okay? They're like an abomination to the Lord. So when the media and the activists, they blast one narrative like it's a settled fact and then refuse, notice they never even mentioned the dispute. That's a problem. That is not how you do journalism. They're pushing propaganda, and these news networks are the activists. That's what they are. And so as we kind of wrap up this segment with this boy, we now know that a judge has ordered, the boy already back in Minneapolis, okay? But the ruling, I'm still unsure because I just decided to cover this today. I'm still unsure as to why the judge ordered for him to be released and to go back. I don't know. I don't know all the details about that. But all I know is the judge was like, as soon as practical, you need to release them both. And that judge criticized ICE enforcement, and they were trying to spin it and say, you only did this to fill your deportation quotas, right? And he even used some inflammatory language claiming that, this traumatized the child. But once again, they're forgetting the proximate cause of how we got here. And that's why the media ran with it like that. Their whole goal is to say, see, even the judge says that Trump is evil. So we've just got to defund ICE, okay? But I want to talk about the left weaponizing children. They have a bad habit of doing this, and they do it so that they can lie about policy. There is a pattern here and a propaganda playbook that the left is using, okay? So the first thing that they do, they will emotionally frame this explosive story. It's a child with the blue fuzzy hat, and all he had was his hat and his backpack, and he's crying and he is scared. That's how they emotionally frame it. And then they use inflammatory words: kidnapped, right? Abducted, trafficked. And it's supposed to invoke, emotions of fear and rage and horror. How dare they do this, right? Then they completely remove the adult context, right? First of all, they're like, okay, you're not supposed to question the legal status issues. Like, okay, what's the status of the mama? What's the status of the daddy? Like, how do we get here, right? Completely ignore that enforcement was needed for a reason. Don't discuss that. Remove any sort of account that explains, well, ICE was here for this, and this is what the father, he left the boy. They don't even want to show you both sides. But you're supposed to skip all of that so that you can demand that Trump stop doing what he's doing and that the policy change immediately. This doesn't need to be investigated. The baby's been through enough trauma. A family was separated, and this is just too much. This is just too much. That is the sentiment that they want you to walk away with. This is the same trick that they use everywhere else. Don't ask no questions. Just feel. Feel what we tell you to feel. Emote. No logic. No reason. This is why the liberal left is full of women and gay men. No shade. Because it's emoting. And so my admonition to my audience is very simple. You can't build your worldview on feelings. You can't. Because if you do, you will be manipulated by anyone that comes with a sad sob story and a whole camera crew behind them. I thought it was strange. I'm like, dang, they got a whole camera crew. like on the plane and in the cockpit. Like, y'all really went through some serious gymnastics to make that happen, ABC. But I want to be clear. If there are bad actors in ICE enforcement, yes, we should expose that. If they're using unlawful tactics, fine, we will challenge that. However, I am not going to accept the narrative that the media is giving because I believe it's dishonest. The framing has been dishonest. The framing that you're supposed to walk away with is any immigration enforcement is screwed, right? Not we must be a nation with borders, and a nation without borders is not a nation, right? Just because we want law and order doesn't mean that we are merciless or cruel. We just have to be concerned about the inhabitants within our nation first before we start trying to come to the rescue of everybody else, okay? So, outside of that, that is all that I wanted to. Come on, Pamela. I see you, sis. Amen. Amen. A to the man. The next thing that I want to cover is this story I had on the cover of the thumbnail, I had Ayanna Pressley and Ilhan Omar. Before I talk about that though, let me ask you guys this. I always want to check my heart. I believe what I believe about this story, but I am curious to know, do you guys think that this child was weaponized? Like, do you really think that the story was accurately reported? And what other safeguards should exist when you've got children that are caught up in enforcement action? Is there anything else that could have been done outside of we have your kid, you either come out with your kid or we're going to be forced to detain your kid until we can figure out what's going on with you? Like, what else was I supposed to do? That is my question to you guys. So, yes. Anyway, what was I going to say? Okay, now I don't have any more super chats. That's good. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. We're going to move on to the next topic. I told you we're going to talk about, have y'all seen that Ayanna Pressley and Ilhan Omar, they're just one of many congressional lawmakers that y'all, they out here living high off the hog, okay? I mean, I'm talking about just mysterious net worth just out of nowhere. And so what I want to do is I want to ask you guys a very simple question and give you something to think about. If you made $175,000 a year, my question to you is, how long do you think it would take you, just regular old you, to own multiple rental properties, sell some real estate, get your little capital gains, and have a spouse who is pulling in 6 to 7 figures while working in the same political ecosystem that you just so happen to legislate over? How long? Like, how long you think it would take you to do all that? Yeah, that's what I thought. That math ain't mathing. Like, you came to the same conclusion, like, 175 a year, it's kind of hard, right? Well, I want to talk about it because there's some baseline things that we need to get straight. So the first thing is a rank and file member of Congress earns about $174,000, $175,000 a year. That is like the baseline salary. Now, to the average American, that is a pretty good salary. You know, some of us are just grateful to hit 100,000, let alone 175. You can live good off of that. It is a good salary. No one's going to argue that. Now, me personally, I think that's too much for Congress members to get paid, but that's my opinion. But if you're making $175,000 a year, you're not crying poverty. You're not poor. However, $175,000 a year is not giving multiple rental property money. It ain't that kind of money. It's not Martha's Vineyard property money. It is not my spouse is suddenly thriving in government adjacent consulting money. It's not giving any of that unless you have access. And what I am learning, the more I cover politics, access is where the real money lives. I have learned that personally. So it appears that America and Americans are finally waking up to the political hustle, right? These politicians are not usually getting rich from their congressional salary. They don't make enough. It's not possible. But they are getting rich by having proximity to power and information access. They're also getting rich through influence without their little grubby little fingerprints being all over it. And then the spouse. The spouse is the common thread with all these politicians. Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar, Nancy Pelosi, right? When I talk about the spousal insulation, where they're insulated by way of their spouse, meaning they don't sign the check, they don't get the contract directly, it's not in their name, they don't list the asset in their own name. Somebody else does. And guess who the somebody else is? It just so happens to be their spouse or your brother if you're Ilhan. Well, no, not that brother. The white guy's not a brother, but you know what I mean. But usually it's the spouse or a very close business partner, the consulting firm, some development group. Hear me clearly. All of this is totally legal. And it's ethical on paper. But what I want to talk about tonight is how it's the hustle and why you have so many people who are itching to be in politics. So let's examine the case study pattern. I want to talk about patterns, not personalities. Granted, I don't like Ilhan Omar or the bald-headed orangutan Ayanna Pressley. I don't like them. I don't like their worldview. I don't like their political posturing. I don't like anything about them. However, my issues with them are ideological and political policy. So for example, the anti-capitalistic rhetoric that comes from both of them. They love talking about taxing the rich, right? Always talking about the oligarchy and their hostility, especially Ayanna. She has exhibited hostility toward landlords, right? She has supported this cancel rent legislation, which is wild to me. However, public record-wise, this woman has residential rental properties of her own. She's got real estate transactions where she's realized capital gains. And then the spouse. Her spouse gets income from consulting, and those are the business activities that are fueling the income. And for someone that got into office in 2018, her assets and liabilities, when they were disclosed, just went through the roof, right? They're in the high value range now. I'm not making an accusation. I'm just contrasting how you go from broke in 2018 to with like a net worth of 12 grand to all of a sudden it's now in the millions. The same is true with Ilhan Omar. So I think I lost my clips, but I'm going to try to find them again. I'm gonna just look through my history. I think I got them. Here we go. I found one of them. Let me bring it over here. I didn't say play. What? You know what? I think I have this to automatically play when I open up the window. I do. So let's watch this clip, you guys.
Well, this is a Fox News alert. It looks like Ilhan Omar isn't the only Millionaire Squad member. Now, our team dug into open secrets and financial disclosure reports. What we found is that when Ayanna Pressley was elected to Congress back in 2018, she had a negative net worth. You fast forward to today, she's worth $1.3 million with assets worth up to $8 million. Now, that's a massive increase in just 6 years, especially for someone on a $174,000 congressional salary. It's impressive, really. But how did she do it? Well, part of its property in 2024, Pressley reported owning a Martha's Vineyard rental worth up to $5 million, as well as multiple Boston rentals worth up to $1 million each. Now, for context, back in 2019, she only reported owning one property in Boston. We're also learning days before Pressley was sworn into Congress, her husband quit his $92,000 annual Boston City Hall job to start his own consulting firm called Conan Harris & Associates. And as we read more of the Congresswoman's financial disclosure reports, we learn that her husband also saw his income jump while he was in Washington. His client list consists of some government organizations, including one with deep ties to the Obama Foundation. But as he started his firm and seeked new clients, he faced ethics concerns because of Pressley's job in Congress. Quote, as Harris's days dwindled in the city's Office of Public Safety, he used his city-issued email account to pitch Walsh's chief of staff on staying on as a consultant. City officials say they did not solicit nor accept the offer, and state ethics laws bar municipal employees from knowingly using official resources for personal gain. Now, we asked Pressley for comment, and we even invited her on. She did not answer, but Fox Business anchor David Asman joins me now. He's been looking over this information. And David, there's nothing wrong with gaining financial resources. We see this a lot in Congress, but there are questions.
Well, and you go back to the 1930s, the last when movies began. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I mean, it's happened for a long time. It happens in both the right and left. But what's so rich is that this is coming from anti-capitalist squad members.
Yes.
People who spent their life denigrating our capitalist system and saying how bad it was. In fact, Congresswoman Pressley came out with an ex-post just a year ago. She and her fellow squad members, of course, constantly condemn capitalism, but she says Donald Trump and Musk want big banks and bad actors to run rampant and take people for a ride. They want to pillage the government and make themselves rich. Well, she's the one who's been pillaging the government.
Isn't it funny, though? Didn't I tell y'all? The left, they are the biggest projectors and gaslighters. If they make a statement and accuse you of doing something, it's because they're pros at it and they've done it. They're already doing it. Elon Musk doesn't want anything from the American people. He's not trying to pillage us. If anything, Elon has added value as a legal immigrant in this country, and we're very grateful for his contributions. Notice how she claims that they want the big banks. Where did I put it? They want the big banks and bad actors to run rampant and to take people for a ride because they want to pillage the government and make themselves rich. And we're like, ma'am, are you listening to yourself? Do you have any self-awareness at all? No, they don't have any self-awareness. So let's let Lil Buddy finish.
Squad members, of course, constantly condemn capitalism, but she says Donald Trump and Musk want big banks and bad actors to run rampant and take people for a ride. They want to pillage the government and make themselves rich. Well, she's the one who's been pillaging the government. Now, again, we're not suggesting she's going in and stealing funds or anything like that, but the fact that she got rich off of her contacts in government, her husband got rich consulting with members of the business community and others, perhaps some people who were taking grants. That's, by the way, we saw that with Lee Zeldin, the EPA commissioner. When he came in, he found out that right before Biden left office in December of 2024, He was spending billions of dollars. A lot of that money was going directly to friends, you know, to acquaintances within the Democratic community that learned how to go in and write grants that would get accepted, making millions and millions of dollars each one of them. So this has been going on for a while. I should mention that Presley's kind of a poor gal next to her friend Ilhan Omar, because Ilhan Omar is worth up to $30 million right now, and she went from basically a flat to came into Congress.
Well, Ilhan's 30 million because she got the Somali fraud. In addition to her winery situation with the husband, she has got the Somali apparatus in Minnesota. That whole fraudulent situation, she's absolutely benefiting from that, in my opinion. So, 30 million in contrast to Ayanna Presley's jump in net worth, it's nowhere near on the same playing field. Ayanna ain't doing it right. Something she doing wrong. Okay, she ain't grifting enough. You know what I'm saying? Let me let them finish some more, and then we're gonna cook.
She also has a husband who's a consultant. He was working with progressive leftists who, again, have this anti-capitalist creed, which they live and die by. But apparently, it's very easy to condemn capitalism when you're making millions of dollars. And of course, we have to mention the grand dame of all this, which is Miss Pelosi, who's worth about $275 million, at least $275 million, with her husband Paul, he's a good investor, but she's come to him, I'm sure, with excellent inside information that we're not allowed to trade on, but members of Congress still do. And there are certain trades that she and her husband made that clearly were based on information she was getting about credit card companies that were going to have a particular advantage that other companies didn't have. So this has got to stop. We've tried to stop it time and time again. Again, going back decades and decades, it never seems to work properly. Schweizer has done his best to try to come out with revealing stuff, but we're going to continue to investigate.
A lot of questions.
Poor Kaylee, she trying to get a word in. He going in, ain't it? That old dude was just like, let me tell you something, okay? Here's the deal. These lawmakers, this is the formula. This is the pattern. They are public socialists, but they are private capitalists. They will condemn the system, talk about how they about to be Robin Hood, steal from the rich to give to the poor, but they don't steal from themselves. They quietly benefit from this system that they claim, this oligarchy, the bureaucratic overlords with all the money, they benefit from it. So I want to talk about why the spouses matter, because this is the part that they never want discussed. The spouses, you guys, are used as the firewall, right? So the politician votes, the spouse consults. I saw somebody say in the live chat that consulting is big business. And what they do is it's the equivalent, Christian said, of buying art. Charge whatever the inflated price you want to cover up your legal actions. Right? The politician votes, the spouse functions as the consultant, the politician is the public facing person that's grandstanding, and the spouse is in the back doing all the networking. And while that's happening, the politician denounces owning anything. I'm just poor, just like you. I have no wealth. I have no money. They constantly decry against the asset owners, while their spouses are the ones participating in the asset adjacent industries. And so I find it interesting because when these politicians actually file their disclosures, the wealth just shows up, right? So just wealth accumulation that somehow outpaces your paycheck. Do they think that we're stupid? I think they do. Clearly, this is the cheat code. They exhibit this public righteousness with private enrichment. We saw Letitia James do the same thing. To me, this is about credibility. If you're going to build, like, don't be stupid. If you're going to build your brand, demonizing wealth and attacking ownership and shaming success and condemning the capitalistic system, but yet you're quietly living a capitalistic lifestyle, you don't have any moral authority. This is why I know the socialism we're already seeing in New York, how it is falling apart, and it's not going to work because it's always the elite, the Bernie Sanders of the world, the Zohran Mamdanis that are like, we just got to tax the rich. Until what happens when you run out of rich people money? Are you going to give up yours? No. They do this for the optics of it all, but they're all scammers. They are a bunch of scammers, and the American people, we are done being lectured by these people who play one game in the public square and another one in private. They're fake. So the question isn't, well, is this legal? Can they really do it? The question is it honest? Don't lecture me about the oligarchy and the rich when you're the rich. We don't believe you. Hear me clearly. I'm a capitalist. I want nothing more than for people to view America as this land of opportunity where you can start at the bottom of the ladder and climb up to any rung that you want based on your own effort and merit, sweat of your brow, toiling, work from your own hands. The issue I have is being lectured by people who want to take what's mine, right? Let me keep what I've earned. Let me keep what I have. Stay out my pocket. I don't want to be pillaged so that I can take care of people who want to sit back and enjoy the wicked, godless policies that you implement, saying, well, we're just going to take the taxpayer money and we're going to redistribute the wealth. No, I don't want the economy to be incentivized by people who are looking for the rest of us to take care of them. Just keep your paws off my guns and keep your hand out my pocket. It's real simple for me. Like, I am one of those Americans. I ain't asking for much. I don't want a government program. I don't want a government program. I want you to leave me the heck alone. Get out of my way. Like I said, keep your paws off my guns. Don't touch my guns because I need them in case I got to get froggy and pull one out and deal with you, Uncle Charlie, Mr. Government. And two, give me my money. Or should I just say, keep your hands off of my money, right? I want to educate my children the way I see fit using my money. I don't want you, the government is not a good steward. I don't want them collecting the taxes and then they're going to pool the money together and be in charge of the educational system. I don't want you educating my kids. That's not going to happen. And I don't want to pay to educate somebody else's kid either. Call me selfish. Call me what you want. But America used to be the place where you can generate wealth when there wasn't so much government overreach and the federalization of every single little thing. Plenty of us out here know and desire to function in our freedom. We don't need you to tell us how it's done. We were doing it just fine before you got all involved. And this is the difference between the left and the right. The left are a bunch of masters looking for slaves. And people who vote on the left are ideological slaves looking for masters. They need to be told, govern us, lead us. How you gonna fix our problems? Where us on the right are like, listen, I'm a whole grown functioning adult. I don't need you to tell me how to live my life. I just need you to make sure the trains run on time and to keep the roads paved. Just some simple basic stuff. We can have some police and fire and services like that. But outside of that, I'm definitely not looking for you to protect me, okay? I can handle my own with the Second Amendment, right? Let me worship my God in peace, but keep your paws off my guns and your hands out my pocket. I just wrapped up conservatism in one quick, that's it. That's for me what it means to be a conservative. You can't be a conservative. What are you conserving if you're always asking the government to give you stuff? I want less government. I say no government, just less government. And the best way to do that is to get these politicians to be held accountable for the conflict of interest and how I'm telling you, it's almost like it's a playbook. They've all gamed the system by saying some of these marriages, I think, are just marriages of convenience. It is a business arrangement. I marry you. You're the consultant. I will use my influence on Capitol Hill to make sure that I get us this contract, get us access to this and this business deal, this USAID money, this NGO. The money comes to you. I control everything but own nothing. That's how it's being done. And I think it's wrong because the moment you were off on your tax return by $250, they ready to come garnish your wages, put a lien on your bank account. I mean, that's what you see. Rules for thee, but not for me. That's how they act. So anyway, those were the two topics that I wanted to cover tonight. We talked about Ilhan Omar and Ayanna Presley. I didn't show you a news clip of Ilhan because her story with the winery, I think, let me see if I have a clip for that one. I don't think I do. Yeah, I watched that one already. Oh, wait a minute. No, I don't. At least I'm all right. I'm sorry. I'm being lazy. I don't feel like looking for it. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't. Anyway, there's absolutely a lot of back scratch. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. That's what's happening. So, what announcements do we have? It's Black History Month, right? Now, as y'all know, I absolutely love the ethnic expression that the good Lord chose to assign to me. I just don't celebrate Black History Month like everybody else because American history and the contributions that Black Americans have made in this nation, and to me, it's an insult to just relegate that to a month, right? We had Black Americans fight in the Revolutionary War. We had Black Americans fight in the Spanish Indian War. Did I say the Spanish Indian? That's not what I meant. I think I meant the French Indian. We also had Black Americans fight in the Civil War, right? We've been contributing to the independence and the functioning of our freedom in this nation for a very long time, despite some of us, okay, allowing ourselves to be subjugated. That happened. But I'm unwilling. I don't like examining Black history from the woe is me, let's remind ourselves of what they did to us. There are so many stories of triumph and being an overcomer and how the gospel came to us and how we managed to survive. It's more than just the woe is me. And so I think this month, I'm going to spend some time highlighting some individuals of antiquity whose stories may not have been told before. I want to go ahead and maybe highlight some of those and just shed the light on aspects of history that we don't like. We've been hearing for Black History Month, we get highlights of the melanated Marxists and the ones who laid down and got their heads beat up, for your freedom. I'm tired of that, okay? That's not a narrative that I want to celebrate. There's nothing celebratory. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I hope he doesn't mind me telling this story. But my friend and client, Vince Everett Ellison, he's born, him and my sister are the same age. They were born, I ain't gonna tell your age or what year you were born. I ain't gonna do you like that. But he was born in the segregated South. And he remembers going to school, kindergarten, and the first few days that he went to school, his father accompanied him. And he said he just thought that when you go to school, your parents were supposed to go and stay with you all day. Because it was like for the first few days, his father went with him to school every day. And he said he asked his father, no, one day, I don't know how many days it had been, but eventually his father said, all right, I'm going to let you, I'm not going to be with you in class tomorrow. You're going to be by yourself. I think it's okay for you to be there. And a 5-year-old Vince asked his daddy, well, why not? Like, why aren't you coming with me to school? And his father tell him, well, it's because, they were thinking that, some of the people there might do something bad to y'all. And I just wanted to make sure that you were going to be okay. And 5-year-old Vince asked his daddy. I said, dang, you was deep and pensive way back when. He said, well, why would you send me somewhere where people were going to harm me? I said, dang. Over some of y'all's head. Y'all didn't get it. Let me break it down. Let me tell you how that messed me up. That messed me up because for so long we've heard the story of Ruby Bridges and the end of the Little Rock Nine. And here is a 5-year-old asking a very legitimate question. Why would you send me to a place where these people want to harm me and that you have to sit there with me? Why did I go there? And that's when it hit me that what was the point? We all want to celebrate and talk about how brave it is that during the whole concept of integration, forced integration, that if you claim that these white spaces and these people were crazy and evil and only wanted to do you harm, why would you purposely subjugate yourself on purpose? When he was like, they had a school. They had a Negro school. His siblings went to the Negro school when it was his time. He wanted to go there, but his father was like, well, I don't have a choice, son. It's the law now. You have to go there. And just like Forrest Gump, do y'all remember in Forrest Gump when the integration scene happened and he's like, the ends want to go to school with us. And he was like, why? Why? Here's what I'm not saying. Some of y'all gonna miss this. You hear what you want. Desegregation is fine. But what happened, the Negro school that once was ended up closing down because all the black parents had no choice but to send their children to school with the white school that didn't want integration. Why you want to be somewhere you not wanted? And I've talked about this till I was blue in the face, and I've asked every question, every rebuttal that I could think of, because I could hear black people in my head saying, but it wasn't right for them to say that we couldn't go. By what standard it wasn't right? The question is not whether they were right for saying you can't come. The question is, why did you want to be there? Why you want to be there? I don't know about you, but let's say one of your girlfriends is having a party. The who's who of everybody's going to be there. But you didn't get an invitation. Why would you go out of your way to insert yourself at that party when Maybe you know things ain't really been right between you and your girlfriend, and if you didn't get an invitation, could it be? I don't know. Could it be that she ain't want you there? So you just gonna go anyway? You gonna go, be embarrassed? Everybody else there got personal little pretty gold foiled invitations, and they're welcome. You have no invitation. You don't even have an e-vite. You ain't even got a digital one. You just gonna show up. Why do you want to be somewhere where you weren't wanted or welcomed or invited? A couple of years ago, I went, we're about to finish up this documentary. It's called Slavery is a Choice. But back in late 2024, I traveled to Brownsville, Tennessee, where the Grand Wizard of the KKK still lives to this day. And we were invited because Vince had to speak. So it was me, Vince, Henry. Who else was there? Chris had left. Chris had to go because she had to work. And we're there in Brownsville, Tennessee. And we were invited to this Christian men's business meeting. And it's a Christian men's meeting. No woman had ever been invited to this meeting. But because Vince had been invited to come back to his hometown to speak, we were invited. And when I tell you they laid out the red carpet for us, and they were like, listen, I don't know if you know this, but we have never a female has never graced her presence in this meeting. It was me, Vince's sister, Vince's stepmama, Vince's daughter, Vince's grandson, and Henry. We were the first women to ever go in there. And when I tell you, it was so welcoming. They didn't let me lift a finger. They didn't let me make my own plate. In fact, it was so overwhelming. I dropped my plate of food on the floor, and 5 men, white ones, ran to my rescue. Oh, no, Miss Chapman, we got it. We got it. You just stand right there. Cleaned it up. Got me a new plate, served me whatever I wanted. What is the point? Granted, I'm not saying that the invitation to, hey, come go to school with us would have happened overnight. What I am saying is the Negro school closed down that had been educating children for decades, cranking out doctors, lawyers, pharmacists, teachers, preachers, police officers, just regular, everyday Americans. Ended up closing the school down because didn't nobody want to send their kids to that because they thought the perception was they ain't invited us, but it must be something over there that's better than what we have. Who told you that you was naked? I know y'all don't like this talk. You're not used to us examining the narrative that we've been told. You're not used to it. You have internalized that it was good and righteous at the end of a barrel of a gun to force someone to love you. We don't even think in those kinds of categories in relationships between men and women. If you see a couple and the man wants to be with her and she don't want to be with him, do we ever say, go on over there anyway? Eventually she gonna love you. No, we be like, bro, you need to read the room. She don't want you, okay? But so many different ways she can tell she ain't gonna treat you right. She don't love you. She gonna spit in your food. She gonna poison you, put some rosin in, anything. She gonna be putting Windex or windshield washing fluid in your tea, like Visine. I'm telling you, wouldn't you rather be somewhere where they're like, baby, I love you. I want you. To me, maybe it's too simple. Maybe the reason why we don't want to look at it that way, because it's too much like right and it's too simple. And because we were told that there was virtue in the marching and demanding. They told us that that was better. But I'm sorry. I don't care if I'm the minority and I'm the last person The last black person on earth who holds this view. I'm holding it to the day that I die because it makes sense. Even Jesus, when he would minister and say, hey, you going to a town and oh, they don't welcome you? Shake the dust off your feet and go to the next. If they receive you, amen. Ain't no way. No way. I'm about to be somewhere where I'm not wanted. It has to be reciprocal. You got to want to be there and they need to want you there. It's awkward and wrong and crazy and stalker-like if it's one-sided. It's the same way with an employer-employee relationship. Why do you want to work for a firm that says, I don't even like you. I don't like you. I don't like nothing you bring to the table, but I'm forced to hire you. Do you think that's going to be a healthy symbiotic relationship? No. So why, when it comes to examining our history, do we struggle to think in that category? Hear what I never said. The segregation on the basis of ethnicity, for the reasons that it was done, absolutely may have been wrong. But we assume that every black person wanted to be where the white folks were. That wasn't everybody's story. There were just some black folks like, listen, this is the way the world is. We ain't never done nothing to these people. They don't like us. We are fine over here. We got Miss Millie's Chicken. We got Jethro's Casket Company. I get my insurance from over there. Leroy, he got the dry cleaners. Like, what's the problem? We ain't got no problems down here. We got our own jazz clubs. We got our own juke joint. You know, we just are finding our way in the world, learning how to build and rely on what makes our community flourish. We didn't get to exercise those muscles enough because somebody came along and was like, don't you want to sit over there with the white folks? You're like, no, not really. I mean, did they invite us? Do they want us over there? I'm just saying. Something to think about. So, happy Black History Month. Yes, I'm the chick on the internet that is going to ask questions that are hard, difficult, uncomfortable, that you ain't never thought of. I'm her. And it's okay. It's okay to rethink the narrative that you've been told. And it's okay, especially if you're older and you like, you know what? As much as it pains me to admit this, and as much as it pains me to rethink and relive the pain of knowing I wasn't wanted there, what God said about me and what God thinks about me was infinitely more valuable. The only people who internalize the inferiority complex to believe that what was over there was better is because somebody told you was naked, and that nakedness, figurative nakedness, I'm using that as a euphemism to explain how in the Garden of Eden, when God comes looking for Adam, and he's like, where you at, homie? He's like, oh, that I had just went and I got some leaves because I was naked. He like, what you mean? Who told you he was naked? It's the same way. It's the same way. Someone told us we were naked. We internalized it. And we started coveting something over there because we thought it was better. But at the end of the day, the floor didn't walk no different. Something to think about. I was going to say something else and I lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. Y'all, I did the best that I could, okay? The memory, it's just not there, okay? So anyway, what was I gonna say? I don't remember what I was gonna say. I think that was it. I want y'all to think about this Black History Month in a different way and endeavor to make much of Christ, to don't focus so much on your grievances. I mean, once the Lord saved me, y'all, you're able to see the world so much more clearly and honestly. And it doesn't mean that racism or racists don't exist. They just are a non-factor in your world. And for the people who it always seems to be a factor, it's them. There are no white folks just walking up to them, just treating them bad and just abusing them and just marginalizing them and oppressing them. They're making it up. They're making it up. And it's sad to watch them make it up because you're just like, there's so many other things you could be doing in the world to add value. And this is what you spend your time crying about. Like, for example, there is a Caucasian pastor out here on the internet who when I tell you this, he's just as ignorant as the day is long. His name is Joe Webbin. And I discovered Joe maybe 2 years ago. And when I listened to him, I was like, this man is so sad. He has some abhorrent ideas and worldviews as it relates to interracial marriage and all kinds of ideas and opinions on ethnicity. He claims to be a pastor and a Christian, right? But I laugh at people like Joe, but more important, I laugh at the blacks who get triggered by him. Because I'm like, how much power does this man have over you? Outside of acknowledging his sinfulness, he is just as sinful and wicked as the black supremacist is. They the same. And to me, like, they are the same person. And to see black people get so bent up out of shape, the reason why they do is because instead of them being concerned about what God thinks about them, it hurts their little heart to know that this white man don't want them around him. It hurt, like they are hurt. Their feelings are actually hurt. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be around a person like that either. But my feelings are not hurt that this man don't want me around him and that he doesn't want my sons marrying his daughters. I wouldn't want my son marrying into a family like that either. So the feeling is mutual. Outside of me praying for him and praying that the light of Christ convicts his heart and shines in the recesses to show him his sinfulness, that man don't bother me. I'm like, so you want me to be triggered because he's ignorant and sinful and he hurts black people's feelings? I'm more concerned that black folks allow that man to trigger him. Now, here's what I'm not saying. We should absolutely make content to refute his unbiblical presuppositions because they're unbiblical, wholly unbiblical. He does the worst job of trying to exegetically defend his worldview. He's just not very good at it. And I've told myself that I was gonna make a video, but then I was like, dang, I'm gonna have to actually do a deep dive and watch that man's content. I was like, is this worth my time? I'd rather spend my time waking up my own kinsmen according to the flesh who have drunk the Kool-Aid, who allow people like the Joels of the world to unnerve them. I'd rather spend my time showing them through the power of the gospel and through the testimony of scripture how to function in your freedom, meaning your freedom in Christ Jesus first, but then your freedom as an American to not even worry about idiots on the internet like Joe Webbin. Like, he should not be shepherding and pastoring and leading anybody, you know? And sometimes I be wanting to tell his wife, baby, blink if you need us to come get you, because it's messed up. I don't even like exposing you guys to people like that. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that because I know the pro wokey woke blackity wax and try to think like she'll never say nothing about the white races because I don't I don't say nothing about him because he a non-factor to me. You, on the other hand, it saddens me to see you, my kinsman according to the flesh, groveling and crying and whining like a woman, and you a grown man. I'd rather spend my time trying to help you snap out of it and wake up out of your drunken stupor than to spend time worried about Joe Webbin. I'm trying to understand why you don't spend more time clowning him than being unnerved by him. It's because you have taken the inferiority, subordinate position. That's why. Call a spade a spade. Anyway, all right, y'all. I'm out. For real this time. It is 10:22. Tomorrow is Wednesday. My baby's got Bible study. I got to get ready. Their birthday is on Thursday. Happy birthday to the womb mates. Haley and Hannah, I love you ladies. Y'all gonna wear me out this weekend. So y'all I gotta crank out as much content as I can because I'm gonna be MIA on Saturday and I won't be able to work because the babies have a birthday on Thursday and we're celebrating with the party on Saturday. So until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold. Oh, like the video. I know it was late. I know I forgot. If you didn't like it, share it. I'll probably chop this up so that you can watch on the replay the separate segments so you ain't got to sit through a whole 2.5 or however long live stream this is. But until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace.